I don't know if this is embarrassing more so than kind of scary, but Chris basically almost drowned when we were in
Oh my
Mexico.
goodness.
The thing that makes it embarrassing, though, is that, okay, Chris can't swim. Chris can't swim, which is funny because now that we have this pool, people think like we can really swim. I can survive. I won't say I can swim. I can survive in the water. I can swim technically, but I don't test it out often, if ever. So we go and we do, what is it called? Like paddle boarding?
Yeah, it was paddleboard.
Paddle boarding. And so we get on these boards in this water, and they don't give us any life jackets. And so we're on a board, we're just floating around, floating around. But Chris is very skilled. So he decides, because the next step, they tell you to start out flat on your stomach on this board. The next step, though, is to stand up and paddle while you're standing up on this board. I knew that I wasn't going to stand up. I'm very self-aware. Can't do that. Didn't stand up ever. So I'm just like, oh, no next step for me. Thank you. But Chris, who knew when he got in that water that he could not swim, stands up on this board and yells out, look, I'm standing. And then right before he said up, he falls into the water. So the guy, because we're in Mexico having a good time, the guy assumes everybody can swim. So the instructor is like, oh, he's playing. And he's over here like going like this. I was like, he can't swim. So I, knowing I can survive, but not necessarily swim well enough to save someone, go over and try to save him. And let me tell y'all what the good Reverend Christopher did. The good Reverend Christopher pushes me down under the water. And I was like, oh, I see how it is. I try to save you, you try to save yourself. Well, I knew I had to jump in and try to save him, because if I hadn't and he lived to tell the story, then I would just be the worst wife ever. So I knew I had to jump in. But I did not know that he was going to just push me down so he could come up.
I didn't push
It's embarrassing because you knew you couldn't swim when you got in that water. But you lived so we could laugh about it.
So, a couple things about that story. One, yes, I cannot swim. But the guy told us it was only 5. He said it was 5 meters. But, being American, we're thinking, oh, we hear 5 feet.
I didn't hear meters. Yeah, I didn't hear meters.
All I heard was 5. I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit over 5 feet. If I fall down, I can just bounce it from the bottom, come to the top. It's going to be okay.
Here again,
no.
You were planning to fall off.
Yes.
Okay.
So I fall in the water, and I'm still calm. I'm like, okay, cool. It's only 5 feet, so I can touch the ground. And so I'm reaching for the ground. My feet is kind of like falling. I'm reaching for the ground, like, cool. I haven't found it yet. And then I realize this is actually deeper than 5 feet. Come to find out, 5 meters is about 8 to 9 feet. And so I'm like actually drowning now, actively drowning. So now I'm panicking. I'm trying to get back up to the top. And I find like we had like a really long paddle. I try to find the paddle, pull myself up. I can't find it. I can't locate it. I'm panicking. I notice Ashley comes over. Now she says that I pulled her down. But really what I was just trying to do was live. I was just trying to, I'm just trying to live at this moment because, I heard the story. If you go down 3 times, you're done. I had already gone down 2.5 times. This is my 3rd time. And Ashley just happened to be there. I thank you for being there. No, it's just I'm trying to leave. So I was actually just trying to climb up on her. I didn't think that she was just going to fall down.
Mind you, this is 10 feet of water. Who climbs up on someone? Because literally, this is how this looks. I'm like, oh, loving husband, let me save you from death. And you're like, I'm just trying to climb up you.
So, funny story about Ashley. Our very first date. The first time we actually went out, like away from the school campus together. Ashley, we had agreed to go to a concert, and it was like at a church somewhere, like on the south side. So Ashley picks me up from my campus. We're riding in her car, and one thing to note about Ashley is that she's not the best driver. She can get from point A to point B. But the reason why she's not a good driver is because she doesn't always pay, 100% of attention to like everything that's going on. So we're in the car, we're driving, we're riding, and Ashley is decided to actually make a, she wants to make a, lane change. But instead of her looking out and checking to see if the lane is empty or she's clear, she just goes right over. And it happens to be another car right there.
Sounds worse than it is.
Yeah, it's an accident. So that happens. So we actually hit this guy. So he's driving straight, and we actually, switch lanes. Happens to be we switched lanes on my side. I was the passenger. And so immediately we hit the car, and I'm jumping because I feel like my life is at risk.
He was so
we
dramatic.
Hit the car.
He was being dramatic. You were being dramatic.
Yeah, so I think most people are dramatic when they get hit. I'm in the car, I get hit.
He grabbed his arm like he was like it came through the car. I'm like, what is going on?
So we're driving, and she tried to make the lane change. The car came from the side, and we impacted. So it impacted. Imagine like something hitting this chair. It hit me, and so I'm like just trying to hold myself and be safe. Well, Ashley's just yelling like, where'd this guy come from? So we pull over to the side. The guy's like panicking. He's like, oh no, this is my girl's car. Like, I'm not even supposed to be driving this car. And Ashley's looking.
No admissions of guilt for those of you watching. Never admit guilt.
Ashley's looking like, sir, what happened? I need your insurance.
And Chris is about to give me away. He's like, you the one who hit him. Why are you getting hit? But I was like, oh, I have to call my lawyer. This is not going to work. And he was like, I don't have insurance. I was like, you don't even have insurance? Oh, this is not going to be good. Let me call my lawyer. So sure enough, my lawyer, because I was underage at the time, really, when I say lawyer, I mean my advocate, right? My advocate was my dad. So I'm on the phone with my dad. Yeah, this guy doesn't even have insurance, not even his car. Don't know what's going to happen with this. It's not looking good. So the guy's getting nervous. He's like, oh, just get off the phone.
So pause. While all of this is happening, I'm looking here. I look at the guy. I look at Ashley. I look at the cars. And I'm looking like the spin game is happening right now. This guy's getting ready to get like done over. And come to find out, he was so nervous about her calling somebody that he was like, you know what? Nothing's wrong with my car. We just exchanged numbers, and hopefully, nothing to come of it. He walked away thinking it was his fault. Not only did he believe, did he walk away, believing it was his fault. He was like, you know what? We gonna exchange numbers, but my girl's gonna be real mad. So we'll talk about the arrangements later.
Well, I agreed not to call his girl. I was like, not a problem. We can just walk away from this. To be fair, we don't have the video footage, Chris. We don't know if he was doing something improper. I was just protecting myself and my rights, as every good citizen should.
So I say that to say this. To this day, she hasn't apologized for getting me into a car accident. I'm still looking for my apology, and I think this is the perfect time.
But you weren't hurt, were you?
I fear for my life.
Oh, here we go.
I think this is the perfect, time to actually, get the apology.
Oh, now? All right, well, I'm sorry, that there was an accident that occurred and that you were involved in it. And if I had any part in it, then I sincerely apologize.
Yeah, it looks like we're not going to get to the bottom of this today.
I just haven't seen the footage. You never know. You never know who's at fault.
You were there.
You never know who's at fault.